Hi, Autumn here. I felt really called to get on today and share five subconscious fears that can keep us parents from implementing a program with our children, such as RPM, Rapid Prompting Method, to help them communicate if they're not able to verbally. I'm not a stranger to these fears either, right? Okay, the first one is the fear of rejection. Basically, some of these modalities are newer, they're not mainstream, they're even kind of looked down upon by some other mainstream modalities. So there could be the fear that you'll be rejected from other professionals that work with your child, from your family. And then what if your child communicates and what if they reject you? What if they don't like you? Like, and they express that, right? After I label the fears, I'll go back and tell you a possible anecdote. The second one is the fear of change. Your role as a caregiver will change if your child is contributing information and able to communicate more of their wants and needs. So, for instance, you might have to share the decision making. You might have to redirect children in a different way than you're used to. There might be an emotional expression that you didn't perceive, and you have to figure out how to be there for a child now that is feeling sad or angry or upset with their autism in general, right? That can always be a case. So there's a fear of change that can be a barrier to many of us. And when we get used to the status quo, especially when our life is already seems hard, status quo, getting used to it, feels comfortable, and it can be hard to shift from that. So that fear can definitely hold us back. The third fear is the fear of identity loss. Perhaps you're so used to your child being a certain way, that's part of your identity, the role that you provide with them and for them, you're kind of attached to that. So the idea of that changing and being different and maybe including conversation might be hard to kind of understand or want. What if that child is part of your victim story? Helps you get attention a little bit that, I don't know what he wants and, it's really hard. That can be hard to let go of that. Also, what if they want to build other relationships away from home or branch out? Like, that's definitely a possibility. You might not be their only world anymore. You might be comfortable and used to being that. Another thing, what if you find out that your child is smarter than you and they correct you? Whoa, that can really threaten our ego, right? That, hey, I'm neurotypical and went to all these other schools and trainings, and yet you know more than me? Definitely a challenge. The fourth one is the fear of failure. Doing something completely new, especially if you don't feel like you're gifted as a teacher, you might feel that sense of, gosh, a lot of this falls on me, and what if I just fail? I can't do this, right? So what if also you feel like they just can't do it? They can't learn like others. So failure on their part. Like, everyone's so hyped up and excited and you get excited and oops, guess what? Your child doesn't have that capacity. They just can't communicate. There can be that sense of possible failure coming your way. And what about your own inadequacies? Like, as you're teaching this modality, what if you start to feel like, I don't know what to do when my kid has a meltdown in the middle, or I don't know what to do when they're resistant. You have all those kind of inadequacies that might rise up that you have to face. So there's definitely, when we're feeling inadequate, we have a sense of failure. And the last one is a fear of regret. Let's say your child begins to spell and communicate, and this modality is just right what they needed. And they're 17 years old. You might regret that you didn't start earlier with them, right? Why we waste all these years? So the fear of regret can keep us from even starting, because even if it goes well, then we have to look back and say, I'm to blame that we didn't do this 10 years ago. All right, so now I want to give an anecdote for each of these 5 fears. That if you go off of a mainstream kind of treatment plan for your child, you will face rejection from professionals, family members, whatever. Yeah, you might. But for everyone that rejects you, there's going to be 5 other people that cheer you on. So just know, rejection is not, we can't avoid it in life. But there are people that want to support kids and want to see kids express themselves more. And you'll be part of that community the minute you step in with us. And also, when it comes to feeling rejected from your child came here to help you. They love you. You're not going to experience rejection there. All right, the anecdote to the fear of change. Life is about change, baby. Your role as a caregiver is going to change regardless as your child gets older, becomes an adult, and all different things. Why not change their life in a positive way? Why not add something? Communication and purposeful activities and leisure activities, things that your child might really, really enjoy spending their time with. Why not add that in? That's a positive change. All right, and now the fear of identity loss. What's the anecdote to that? Well, part of it is understanding that our identity is always shifting and changing. And the healthiest people are the ones that are allowed to release former ways of being and create new ways of being. This is actually a very healthy thing to teach your children too. So you never feel stuck in one job, one relationship, one activity, that you can actually shift and transform yourself throughout your life. So you want to lose your identity sometimes. So especially if your child has become part of that victim mentality, guess what? You can change that. You can now become a survivor in the autism world and a way paver of communication, right? So your identity can shift and you're not going to lose all of your identity. It's just going to shift to something more vibrant and awesome. Okay, what about the fear of failure? What is the anecdote for that? Well, I faced this fear early on and several times throughout the course of Liam learning this modality to communicate. And he's still in a process of learning it, right? What's helped me is understanding a growth mindset and a learning curve. So I'm learning right alongside Liam. There is no failure. Like, we're just learning together and we're learning what works, how his sensory system might be presenting, why it's not working in this circumstance. What's the creative approach I can do? How can I be more creative to help expression flow at this time in this moment? So you don't have to worry about failing. You're going to fall forwards. That's what failing is. And the last one, the fear of regret. What if we start this and it's awesome and we have to face the reality that we didn't do it 10 years ago? Well, what if you wait 10 more years? What if you have 27 years or something versus just 17 years of not waiting, right? Think of it that way. Think of it going forwards. Like, do you want to have regret of that you knew something could possibly help your child, but you didn't jump on it? You didn't know back then. Give yourself grace. But now you know. So why not learn from others who have learned this modality and are really successful in utilizing it? I guarantee you'll be able to release regrets about your past and also the regrets you might have daily as you interact with your child. We learn, we love, we continue to evolve together. Now I want you to imagine something. I want you to imagine that you get in a horrific car accident and you're okay, but for whatever reason, you've lost the ability to speak and your hands don't work very well either. And everyone around you is saying, they do some brain scans, right? They don't understand. They don't know what she doesn't know what we're talking about. She's really, really injured and damaged. But you're inside your body thinking, no, I'm not. I'm right here. Oh my gosh. You feel like a prisoner. You feel like you don't matter. You can't express anymore. This is a very, very difficult situation to be in a human body. But say a nurse comes in and a nurse looks in your eyes and they say, I think there's a way. I think she's in there. I think we just need to find some modalities to really help her communicate because, I can just sense, I just have this like intuition that she's okay and she can tell us what's going on. And maybe it's not perfect, the modalities that she introduces, and it takes time. But every time that nurse tells you, we're going to keep working on this. I get it. I see you. I see you. I see the progress. I feel your joy. Think about the difference that that nurse has made in the life of that individual. You can be that for your child.